Good morning, East Con. It's good to see you from here. My name's Cameron. I'm the proud owner of avad3 event production, and I'm looking forward to giving you a behind-the-scenes tour of East Con. I know if I was watching this from wherever you're watching, your school or home or whatever, if I was watching, I would be geeking out the whole time. I'd be trying to figure out how many cameras do they have and what is that behind that, and I kind of zooming in on the GoPro. I'd be pausing the GoPro shots and zooming in on my phone to see what's going on behind the scenes. And so if that's what I would want at home, I'm sure we're kindred spirits. I bet you want a similar thing. So I'm going to show you around. Before I do, I'll let you know a little bit about me, and so you kind of know your tour guide for this. I wandered up to the sound booth at my church when I was 12 years old. Had a great mentor there who taught me how to run sound. If you've had a good mentor, hit that like button or maybe throw their name in the chat. I'd be curious to see some of those mentors. Had a great mentor who taught me how to run sound from about 12 to 15. His name's Philip. I'll give him a shout out. We were texting this morning, last night, about something we've stayed in touch all the years. And then from 15 to 18, I had another great mentor, Dave Roberts. And he is actually on the crew for this, which is cool. He has been producing a lot of the video content that you've been seeing. Hit that like button if you've liked the transitions and the bumpers and all the editing and stuff. So that's actually my mentor, Dave Roberts. We've stayed in touch all the years. Anyways, had those great mentors. We didn't have East when I was in school. I think I missed it by like 1 year. I'm from Northwest Arkansas. Went to Bentonville High School. Shout out to Bentonville High School if you guys are watching. Also, a specific shout out. I was on Facebook last night. I want to give a shout out to Albany Sears at Lincoln Junior High School. My best man went to Lincoln Junior High School. I got to see a little bit of your project last night on Facebook. Way to combine 3D printing and animals. And I think it's just a beautiful portrait of East, of you combining who you are, someone who loves animals, what East is, 3D printing, all this technology and things, and putting that together. It's a beautiful story of love, and I'm sure your community appreciates that love. So quick shout out there to Albany. But grew up in Bentonville, and then went to college for 4 years. And then while I was in college, I started avad3, which is the company that you know today who's putting on the show. It's enough about me. I'll tell you a little bit about the company, and then I'm going to take you behind the scenes. Started at my dorm room. We're 9.5 years old. We're about to turn 10. As soon as I got out of college, I went to Henderson State University. I don't know if there's any Ready alumni here. While I was in Henderson, I did some student teaching at Gurdon High School. I hope you guys are on. The teacher then was Ashton Winklemeyer. I don't know if he's still your teacher, but shout out to Gurdon if you guys are on here. Hit like if you know where Gurdon is, if you know the Gurdon light. I didn't get to see that, unfortunately, but I was there for a semester. Anyways, while I started it was in my dorm room, and then it moved it back to Northwest Arkansas, where I'm from. And we've been there ever since. Over the past few years, we started traveling a lot more. We do production for conferences and all sorts of big things. And so we started locally, and then we kind of went regionally, and then now we're really a national production company. I'm really proud of what we've built. That's enough about me and enough about us. I want to show you behind the scenes, and I want to introduce you to the people who are behind the scenes, because it may be some positions that perhaps you want to be in one day. I think production houses some of the coolest and most hardworking people in the whole world, and I want you to meet them. So I've been here. You know what this shot looks like. I'm going to come over here to this camera. I'm going to throw my mask on, and we are going to take a walk down the hallway here. See if you can keep up with me here. We're going to go for a big walk. I know when I used to go behind the scenes, if I could stop by like a concert or I'd stop by maybe a news broadcast or something, what I loved to do when I was y'all's age was I loved to follow the cable. And that's literally what we're going to do. We're going to go for a long walk here. Maybe some of you have been to the East headquarters here and you recognize these walls. Shout out to East headquarters. Hit that like button if you've been to East. But I used to follow the cable, and that's what we're going to do here. Everything in production revolves around placement, power, and signal. You got to place everything, you've got to get it power, and then you got to get it signal. And so we're following some of the bigger cables out to where the power starts, where it all originates. Out here, we're kind of out in the East garage. I think that's what this is called. And I'm going to even go outside. So again, really giving TJ a run for his money here on the camera work. Probably throwing in an ND filter or something. You throwing in an ND right now, TJ? Shout out if you know what an ND filter is. Anyways, yeah, the show is actually running on a generator. I'm going to take my mask off. The show is actually running on a generator, believe it or not. East has a beautiful building. We love the building, great facility. But production takes a lot of electricity. It takes a lot of power. And so rather than plugging things in and hoping we don't trip a breaker, throw something in the comments if you've tripped a breaker before, you know what that's like. Rather than plugging everything into the walls and hoping we don't trip a breaker, we brought in a big generator. And that way we know that we've got plenty of power, which is really important, making sure we don't lose power. That cable that runs the generator is called feeder cable, and then it plugs into this. This is a distro. It's got 3 hots, a neutral, and a ground. If you're into electricity, you kind of know what that is. And then it breaks it out into SOCA connectors, and we run those SOCA cables 150 feet or so, and turns into Edison outlets, regular outlets that we can use. If you don't know much about electricity, I encourage you to read up a little bit on electricity. It's kind of the foundation of what we do in production. It's important to know. While we're out here in the shop, I'll show you this pile of cases, and then I'm going to take you in there and let you meet the crew. When I first started the company in my dorm room, we didn't have much. I literally only had 2 cases. I bought the first 2 cases. And anyways, I bought these 2 cases. And I color-coded them because I had nothing but time on my hands. And I started labeling them. I started putting labels on all sides. This is a good example here. We like to label all sides of the case. And I just kind of really almost spent too much attention on those cases because I just had 2. I might as well love on them. Over the years, we've bought more cases, as you can imagine. We've grown a lot in the last 9.5 years. And as we've grown, we've just built a little bit at a time. And so every time we buy 2 more cases, we just put that same amount of attention into it. Karen, who's on my team now, has taken the baton from where I left off on my OCD problem, and she has taken over on labeling things. And so she does a great job. One thing I want to give a shout out here to Karen specifically that's really cool that Karen did and implemented, way smarter than I am. She went through and barcoded everything, which is incredible. So every time we leave for a show, when the case leaves the shelf and goes across the dock plate to head to the truck, she scans it out. She scans it out just like a library book. And that's not a big deal this week because this EastCon is a big show. The whole team's here. But sometimes we have a lot of small shows. Maybe on a weekend we have like 5 smaller shows all at the same time. Well, as you can imagine, this Pelican case is expensive. If this were to get left at a convention center up the road or across the country, we want to know, where was that case? We don't want to just guess. We want to find that case and go get it quickly. So the barcodes help us do that. Anyways, that's it for the cases. I love cases. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But cases are important to keep everything safe. While we're out here, let me, before we go back in this way, let me introduce you to somebody who's been following us around trying to stay behind the camera. This is Andrew Minna. Minna is shooting some behind the scenes footage. Shout out, I think you guys call it the doc team. Is that what it's called when you're at EastCon? I love that you guys have a doc team. He's been shooting video. What is that thing, Minna? Here, I'll hand you the mic. Can you hold the mic and the camera at the same time? What model of camera is that?
This is a Canon R5.
Love it. He's shooting an R5. If you know what an R5 is, hit that like button or shout out something in the comments if you know what that is. Minna, how long have you been doing production? I'll put you on the spot here.
About 8 years.
8 years. Isn't that fantastic? So how old were you when you started?
14.
14. I love that. Isn't that great? Minna's been doing production since he was 14. I've been doing production since I was 12. A lot of y'all are that age. Some of you are even younger. And I think it's important if you find something you love to stick with it. She's trying to hide, but I'm going to also introduce you to Bailey and give TJ another run for his money here. This is Bailey. I'll hand you the mic too, put you on the spot. Bailey, what was your first job in production?
Shooting just like Andrew is over there.
Yeah?
Yep.
And where did you go to college?
University of Central Arkansas.
Do you recommend it?
Absolutely.
You like it?
Yeah, it was a great film program.
What, your major was film?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So film at UCA.
Yep.
That's great. Okay, let me introduce you to the crew here. Thanks, Bailey. Let's go down the hall, and I'll keep letting you meet the crew. By the way, if you have any questions, throw them in the Q&A section on whatever platform you're watching on. April is monitoring that, and as soon as I get back, I'm watching the clock here. As soon as I get back, I'm going to let you ask questions. So throw them in the Q&A. Anyways, let me get down here. I'll throw my mask back on. I'm going to come in here to the control room, which is the coolest part of the whole thing, in my opinion. So let me throw this on. And maybe you've even seen this in some of the GoPro shots, but this is really master control for the whole conference. This is where we're doing all the main stage stuff. Let me introduce you to, you met Bailey. let me come over here to Holden, who's on audio. Holden, watch out. Holden's got a very tough job right now because he's got a comm headset in one ear. He's got his in-ear in the other ear. He's listening to the sound. He's mixing me and watching the meters, and he's trying to listen to what I'm saying because I'm about to put you on the spot, Holden. He's literally turning his own fader up for this handheld.
Yeah, turning myself up here.
Holden, what console are you mixing on?
This is a Midas M32 mixing console. It's a very accessible console, very popular. It's a great sounding desk. It's got 32 channels of audio, so if you, for some reason, need 32 channels, you've got 32 channels coming through here.
Holden, where are you from?
I am from Greenbrier, Arkansas, which that's where East was founded. I had no clue until this conference. So East was founded in Greenbrier. So shout out to my Greenbrier peeps.
That's right. East was a big deal when you were there, right?
It was. I always heard about it. And I actually wasn't in East, but I know a lot of people that were. And then they were just some of the coolest people I knew. So
that's awesome. Thanks for letting me bother you. That's Holden. Holden's the audio tech on this show. I'm going to come back here and try to introduce you to Sam. Sam's a very busy person. He's literally running the show. Let me go over here, TJ. I'll go over here like this. Sam, just like Holden, is very busy right now monitoring 50 different things. Can you talk, or are you in the zone?
I'm good now.
Okay. Sam, what's your title here? What do you do here?
So I'm the production manager on this show. That just means I've been involved with the pre-production, the project management leading up to East Week, and then helping lead the crew here on site.
That's great. So Sam's literally like, this is Sam's show. Sam's been working on this for months. He knows it inside and out. This is his baby. He's been working with the client. But before you were working with clients, where did you get your start in production?
Man, I kind of fell into the industry, and it was all at my church. Just kind of wandered up to the tech booth, was a musician, and it's like I want to learn the other side of this. And so I got my start running audio for the worship teams and services. So
that's cool. What would you say you'd be doing on this show if you weren't in the PM seat? Where would you be sitting?
Oh, Holden would be out of that seat so quick. I'd be mixing audio, hands down.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Sam. Sam's a very important person because nothing happens without Sam. Sam's who counts us in and out of everything. Sam is literally running the show right now, and I think I saw you literally running earlier, so he must have been fixing something. Sam's the man. I'm going to come all the way over here, and I'm going to let you meet Tyler Heron. Tyler, where are you from?
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Look at that. In his hometown.
In my hometown for once.
That's awesome. Tyler, where did you get your start in production?
I started at my church when I was about 10 or 11. My dad, who played bass in the worship band, the percussionist, had to step out one Sunday, and Dad was like, hey, come play shaker for us. So I went up to play shaker. He said, oh, by the way, they also play the track, so push the button too. So I pushed the button for the first time. I was like, hey, this is pretty fun.
That's awesome.
And so then the rest is history.
Tell us what you're doing on this show. Like, walk us through. You've got a lot of computers here, so which computer does what?
So these two computers right here are our playback machines, so they play all the videos, and they're redundant. So this is our main, this is our primary, or backup. So every time I fire one on this one fires a second later. So if this one goes down, Seba can just switch over to our redundant. This is just a computer to show me my show flow. And then this computer is my personal computer running my Stream Deck to actually control these.
Shout out if you know what a Stream Deck is. Throw that in the chat.
Yeah.
I love those things.
I just got this today, so.
Look at you. You joining the Stream Deck Club.
Yep.
Are you also doing our clocks, or is that at this position?
It is. I'm doing clocks through ProPresenter on our playback machine. So this has ProPresenter on it, running the videos, and it also has a stage display out, running all the clocks.
That's awesome. Thanks, Tyler. Tyler also, before we got in this seat, before we were like in show mode, he hung all of our lights, focused all the lights, made the stage look really good in there. So Tyler's very multi-talented, which is important. All right, Alicia, you are not off the hook. Alicia, I'll take a knee here so we're on the same height. Alicia does not work at avad3. Alicia's on the East staff. Shout out if you know Alicia, maybe in the chat or in the Q&A, start asking Alicia questions. Alicia, why are you sitting in here with us?
So I'm sitting in here because for conference, I'm in charge of general sessions and the main stage. Okay. So I got to work with Sam and his team and all the pre-production and planning with East staff and avod.
When did you start writing this? Because you wrote a lot of this. When did you begin writing? How long ago?
We started doing some of this even back in January.
Wow.
of working and designing. But, we started with some of the ideas even before Christmas, so even in December.
And when did you stop editing it? How long ago were you editing this morning?
I think maybe an hour ago,
That's great.
maybe 45 minutes.
So for 2 months and then up until an hour before the show, that's fantastic. So you are running our prompter, right?
Right, yeah. So I'm running the prompter for our on-air talent, so for our alumni host, and as they are giving intros and thanking our various sessions. And I'm also communicating with April, since she's doing some of that Q&A portions as well. So I'm working with April on that. So it's kind of multitasking when we're seeing some various things come up. I'll run back to Sam, and Sam's the guy that fixes all the things. So he is in charge, and I'm thankful for that, and thankful for all of y'all, because y'all are helping making my job much, much easier.
Thanks, Alicia. I appreciate
you.
that. Alicia, since Alicia runs a prompter, she's all of our best friend because the talent does what she says. If it's in the prompter, they do it, and it actually helps us hit our cues because we can literally read ahead and we know, okay, when they get to the end of the sentence, we're going to hit that slide. So Alicia is running the prompter, but that's such an important role in the crew because we're kind of following her every word, except for right now, which I'm off prompter, and so everyone's in a cold sweat, just completely freaking out on what I'm going to do next, which is come over here to Sebastian. Sebastian Guerra, it is your turn. I'll hand you the mic. Good luck. Sebastian is extremely busy right now because Sebastian is running the switcher for this. I'm going to take a knee. I like this knee idea. Get down here.
TJ is doing a good job to frame me. And
That's good. Yeah, it's TJ.
Follow me.
Look at him
Follow me.
complimenting his camera people right now. I love that. So Sebastian is punching the show. He's operating the switcher. Tell us, what's that title? What title do you call yourself?
director.
Director.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Calls himself the director. I agree with that title. What's been the hardest job for you this week? What's been the hardest part about this? When is your mind really pressed?
Yeah. Well, TJ, if you can show, you have a lot of sources, kind of sources we call cameras, computers, clock. You can see that. It's a lot of things going on in front of me. To be able to keep my eyes on all those little squares and to decide which one I need to punch. And also I'm sending different sources, computers, camera stuff, to different destinations, different locations. And that is to keep that in mind, to try to hear what my producer, in this case Sam, is telling me to do, and try to keep my head and eyes in one place and punch the right button. That's kind of...
I love that. Where did you spend the first few years of your career? Like, where did you really get started?
Well, for a long time, I worked for a TV channel in back in my country. I'm from Chile.
Shout out Chile.
South America, yeah. Hola, amigos. I worked for a TV channel there, and I was doing news, camera operator and stuff. I started my TV career there.
That's awesome.
And then I joined avad3 with an apprenticeship program, and I started learning about other areas of production.
That's awesome. Sebastian's very humble. He's literally punching and calling the whole show here. This is Sebastian's show. Thank you, Sebastian. I'll let you get back to doing that and keeping everybody on their toes as I walk around. One last person here, last but not least, Karen. I'll hand you the mic. Karen, why do you have so many computers and what is each one doing? This is a lot.
Yeah, so we have 4 computers. 2 of them are running slides and pictures. And then this one is for lower third. So I just push a button and then we get a lower third across the bottom.
Hey, look at that. I love that.
And the top one is for logos when we want to put logos in the corner of the screen. So.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so what's happening over here then? So you have those are doing those. What were these again? Did you already say that? I'm sorry.
These are slides and pictures, and then sometimes they're different depending on what we're doing. So when we have Zoom presenters, we're using the second computer up here to have a background framing around them. So.
I love it, and it's very important. Karen already knows the winners of the upcoming award ceremony, so it's very important that we don't get too close of a shot of these computers. Hopefully those names aren't on here. So later when we're doing an award ceremony, Karen's going to be firing all of those, which we're very excited about. Thanks, Karen. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot. Let me make a few more stops here, and then I have one other person to introduce you to on the way back. So let me show you this. This is really, I told you I like cables, I like cases, I like all the production things. This is the back of the switcher, and I want to show this. See, the crew was like, oh, you're going to show that, but I love showing this because I want you to see the attention to detail on every cable being labeled, of course, and all that. But I get questions a lot of time from high schoolers, and I love for people to stop by the avad3. And this is an open invitation, by the way. Anytime you're in Northwest Arkansas, send us an email or reach out on social or whatever, and come by. Seriously, you're welcome to come spend 15 minutes. We'll show you the shop. But often they ask, hey, you know, I've been doing this for a while, but I want to be in charge. I want to be the director. I want to be the leader. And what I tell young people a lot of times is, well, you know, every person on this crew started somewhere, and we've all worked harder and harder, and we've continued to grow. I love the spirit of East. We're always pushing growth. And what I'll tell you is Sebastian's in charge of this show, and Sebastian's in charge of this show because he plugged in every single one of those wires. He knows where every single one of those came from and where it goes. If something went wrong right now, Sebastian would do a cartwheel over this case, and he'd be back here and he could track down every wire. And so whenever you know where every cable goes, where it came from and goes to, that's when you can be in charge, and that's how Sebastian got to be in charge of this one. He is the brain behind every single cable in this building, and I just have so much respect for technical people who can be that way. So I'm going to go this way now. TJ, you're doing great. And I'm going to introduce you to one more person, and then we'll head back to the main stage. And I think I have time for questions. Yeah, I can see the clock. I'm going to have time for questions, so throw those in the Q&A. April's keeping an eye on those. So that was the whole crew, but then there's this closed door, this secret area. And this isn't because the person behind this door is the queen, although she might feel like she's the queen. This is Morgan. Everybody say hi, Morgan. I'm going to hand you the mic. This is Morgan Johnson. Morgan, what is your title on this show, and what are you doing?
I am the remotes producer. I make sure that everybody on Zoom is connected and we can hear and see them, and we can produce them for you so that you can hear and see them as well.
So literally, what are you doing right now? Is that April?
This is Miss April with East. She has been our awesome moderator for all of your sessions. She has been taking your questions and making sure you get the answers that you need.
I love that. Thanks. So this is so important. You know, when you've got remote presenters, like this show, when we have remote presenters on Zoom, they don't get to kind of be backstage, if you think about it. Like this morning, I was backstage. They put this microphone on me. They said, stand on this X. These presenters, you know, with Zoom, you just kind of pop in. And so Morgan has them pop in early. She talks to them, coaches them, lets them know she's going to count them in. That's how we make those presenters really look their best, and that's the secret sauce. We put her in here so she can be talking to them and not bothered by all of our chatter in there. So here's Morgan's private suite of being a remotes producer. If you like to be alone, be a remotes producer. Let me come down here. I'll bring you back down the hall. This is cool. This is just sitting out here in the hallway. This is our antenna for our wireless microphones. Sometimes wireless microphones just have little antennas on the back that look kind of like this. This is a big old shark fin antenna, and that's how they were able to get the microphone way out to the garage so you could hear me when I was out there. So that's what that is, if you're curious. I'm going to make my way back in here, and April, hopefully you're standing by. You looked great. By the way, now is the best time of any. I can't think of a better time. Did you realize, I'll take my mask off, did you realize that today is April's birthday? And so I want to wish a big happy birthday to April. And I'm going to settle back into this spot here. I think you've got me on the main camera. We've got a whole 21 minutes for questions. I'm so proud. I thought I was going to be long-winded and not have time, but we've got time. So April, if you can hear me, how are the questions looking? Is anybody curious about anything?
They are. We've had several questions come in, and I'm going to funnel through them. Some of them are about the crew, and some of them are about avad3 specifically. So we'll start with the first one. If there wasn't a pandemic, how many shows a year does avad3 typically do?
I love that question so much. Right before the pandemic, we were growing like a weed. I was so proud of what we had done. The short answer, we usually do 135 shows a year. That's where we had been hanging out for about the 2.5 years before this. We had been traveling the country. Literally, you're not going to believe this. In the 60 days, right before the pandemic hit, we were in Washington, D.C., San Francisco. We were outside of Los Angeles. We were all the way down in San Antonio. We were up in Detroit, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Little Rock, West Memphis. We were in all those cities the 60 days right before the pandemic. We had been doing a lot of stuff for the presidential election, and we were following a candidate. It's a very fast-paced business to be in because they decide on a day-to-day basis which city they're going to go to next. So it's a very exciting time. We've got a truck full of stuff, and we pack it up, and they say, okay, head south, and we start driving. But we were really busy right before the pandemic, and so it's been a sad year, but it hasn't been super sad because we've been able to pivot and help events just like this. Look at East, we're streaming this event. It's okay, we're virtual, we're doing it, and so it's been a good recovery. But I do miss the smell of diesel. I love a good diesel truck. I love pushing a road case onto a truck. So we were excited when we got to come down here and do this on site. We've been doing this out of our studio up in Lowell in Northwest Arkansas. We love getting to come here. So that's a long answer for the number 135.
Cool. You mentioned cases again, and when you were showing off the Pelicans, that's definitely one of my favorite things. Makes me feel safe and organized when we transition stuff for Doc Team. Shout out to Doc Team and all of our leadership team. When we transition things, we use plenty of Pelicans here. So speaking of streaming and doing things, we have a young lady in the chat that was like, hey, I edit videos, and if this is live, how are you guys flipping from one screen to another screen? Make it all make sense. So they're curious about how we're making this happen.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that you're a video editor. I'm curious what you edit in, if you're in Premiere or Final Cut or Resolve or what you're in. I spent a lot of years editing video. It's a very tedious job. I respect that. We are, this is the live shot, and TJ was walking around with the roaming camera. Hey, TJ, you're not off the hook. Get over here just a second. I'm going to give TJ a shout out. I don't know if you guys can get a shot of this. Throw this back on. TJ was following me around. Wasn't he doing a great job? Throw something in the chat if you were like sweating for TJ, throwing ND filters in and changing your iris and dealing with the lighting and everything. He did a great job. Thanks for following me around, TJ. Anyway, sorry. You thought you were off the hook. You're like, yes, I'm the only crew. Didn't have to be on camera. When TJ was following me in there with Sebastian is taking all the sources. You saw his multi-view. So he's got, I don't know how many sources you have on the Sebastian, 18 or 20 or something like that. And he's cutting them together through that switcher that he's punching. He's doing that live. So in Premiere or whatever you're editing in, there's a timeline and you have all the time in the world. You can kind of say, I want this here and I'll switch that or what. Sebastian's having to do all that on the fly. All those feeds come from Karen on graphics and Tyler on playback. Sebastian can see all of them, kind of like your clip viewer. He's looking at a multi-view of everything, and then he's hitting cut on the fly. So it's very similar to video editing. It's just faster. It's way faster. But a good editor makes a good director and vice versa. I think Sebastian would tell you that. Sebastian's an incredible video editor, and when he's not here doing this live, he's editing video for us. Cross-training is very healthy. So good question. I hope I answered that. If I didn't, send me a follow-up one. I don't mind going deeper.
So to connect with that, the same young lady asked, so how old do you have to be to work at avad3?
I love that question. I love it. I started this when I was 12. There was nowhere that I could get a job. My friends, when we turned 14, they started like pushing carts at Walmart and trying to get a job selling yogurt and all those things. I can't remember. I'm going to put Minna on the spot. Where are you, Minna? Minna was an intern. We used to have an internship program. We don't have it anymore, unfortunately. We also used to have an apprenticeship program. I think Minna was, I don't know, Bailey's like sprinting down the hallway to see if he can give me an answer. Minna was probably y'all's age. Well, I can't say that because East goes down to like third grade now, which is fantastic. But I think Minna was maybe 13 or 14 when we had the internship program. Minna, how old were you when we met, when you came and were an intern?
I was 12.
Minna was 12 years old. I love that. There's a magic number 12 all day today. So Minna was 12 when he was in the internship program. I'm a big believer, it's a Bible verse, hopefully you don't mind, but don't let anyone look down on you because of your age, but instead be an example in the way that you live, in the way that you speak, in the way that you act. That's 1 Timothy 4:12. And I don't really like to label age too much. I'm continually blown away by young people. I kind of got started when I was young, and you guys are getting started when you're young. I'm dodging the question though. There's not really an official age. When we had an internship program, it was, Minna was 12. When we had the apprenticeship program that Sebastian was in, that was 18 and up. But we don't really have an official age because I don't really look at age. I look at experience and competency. And above experience and competency, I look at character. So that's kind of the qualifications to get in, but it doesn't have much to do with age.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't have much to do with age, but quality and character. So we'll have you guys continue to work on that so that you guys can work with avad3. You referenced Sebastian just a moment ago, and there was another question in the chat that they want to know, do you speak Spanish? So, ¿tú hablas español, Cameron?
I don't speak Spanish. I had to change my major in college because I was getting a D in Spanish 1. I failed Spanish in 6th grade. I failed it again in high school. There's something wrong with my brain. I know a lot about cables and cases and cameras, and I can tell you anything you want to know about that. There is something in my brain that does not throw the switch between languages. I am clueless on Spanish. Thankfully, Sebastian's here. If I need a translator, he's got my back.
So some other people have asked, they wanted to know, why did you guys decide to put your headquarters in Northwest Arkansas?
That's a good question, and it's honestly, it's been a challenge. It would be a lot easier to grow a production company if we went to a major market like Atlanta or New York City or Los Angeles or something like that, maybe Dallas. I grew up in Northwest Arkansas. Northwest Arkansas is home. I'm just going to throw it out there. If you're watching Northwest Arkansas, you maybe understand what I'm saying. I really think there's no better place to live. I'm not trying to bash anybody. I lived in Arkadelphia for 4 years. I love the whole state of Arkansas, but Northwest Arkansas, I've traveled the entire country. Every time we get to go do a show somewhere, I kind of pause and ask myself, would I rather live here? Would I rather move my family to wherever we are? I don't think there's any better place to live than Northwest Arkansas. So I put the roots down in Northwest Arkansas, although it makes really zero business sense because it's a very small market. Comparatively on a national scale. But we are really proud to have Walmart there, Tyson, J.B. Hunt. There's some large corporations there. There's some great nonprofits there. And the University of Arkansas is there. Those are kind of our 3 business sectors. We do corporations, nonprofits, and education. And those are all there. But it really doesn't make a ton of business sense. It's more of just a personal thing. I've got a wife and 2 kids, and that's where I want those boys to grow up in the same woods that I grew up in. And so that's why we're there personally.
Couple more questions for you here. Why laptops and not PCs? And then on average, how much do you guys spend on equipment?
Those are fun questions. Laptops and not PCs, and then how much do we spend? Well, the crew's probably laughing because I'm about to go on a Mac Apple commercial here. I'm a big Apple guy, big Mac guy, so if you're a gamer, you're probably like, get this guy out of here. I'm a PC guy, but I'm a Mac guy. I love Apple products. Apple, if you're watching, you're not, I'm getting a boo from thank you, Tyler, on the clock. He just booed me on the clock. I love that. Apple, if you're watching, you're not a sponsor of this, but you could be. Send me the money. I'd love to give you a shout out. I'm telling everybody about you. Anyways, I love Apple products. I love Mac. It's interesting that you ask. We use MacBook Pros instead of Mac Minis. We're always on the move. We're all over the country. We're in really kind of tight spaces. This show is great. We've been able to spread out, and of course we need to for social distancing, of course, at this time. But there's been times when we're crammed in a back hallway, or they put us in the fire sprinkler room or whatever, and the MacBook Pros allow us to kind of like wedge into really weird spots. It also allows us to cross-utilize those machines. Just like I talked about cross-training earlier, it's important to not just get kind of stuck in one thing. I think it's good for all of us to cross-train. Those machines are the same way. We use those machines on tons of different ways. They all have editing software on them. We can use them when we're back at the shop to edit. And so it just makes more sense from a usability standpoint for them to be MacBook Pros. How much do we spend a year on equipment? I actually don't know that. I'm not dodging that question. I don't know. I could talk all about depreciation. I know how long I keep an asset. If we buy something, I know how long we keep it. But I don't know how much we spend on equipment. I know we own a lot of equipment, but I don't have dollars and cents to put to that. Yeah, so I don't have a good answer for that one. Sorry.
It's okay. It's more about whether or not it continues to work, right? Now, how much we have to spend on it each year, as long as it's still getting the job done. So a few more questions for you, Cameron. We want to know, how has COVID truly affected avad3? You talked about how you guys were working, right up to 60 days before, or right up to the day before really the state decided to shut down. But in other ways, how has COVID and the pandemic affected how you guys connect and do your job?
Yeah, I'll answer that on a very personal level. This is about as personal as I'll get. The team is very important to me. I'm in business. I mentioned earlier, I love production people. I think they're the coolest, hardworking, behind-the-scenes people that don't get any attention, and they want it that way. They're servants. I love production people. And so the hardest way that the pandemic has affected us is we did have to reduce the team size. We held out for a really long time to not have to do that, but You can't hold out forever, unfortunately, and so we had to reduce the team size. And that's the hardest part of COVID for me. That's the hardest conversations, and was just extremely difficult. Thankfully, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we're able to rebuild now, and we're starting to rebuild the team, which I'm thankful for and grateful that there is kind of hope on the horizon. But that was definitely the hardest part. Sorry, the word avod, by the way, is Hebrew for serve. We named it avad3. I wanted a name that really had a meaning behind it and would get me out of bed in the mornings to come work really hard to grow it. Avod's Hebrew for serve. I believe that all of us are born with gifts and abilities, and every one of us is unique. And I had friends in college and things that went off to be missionaries in Africa, and they're curing cancer and all these things. And I was really confused at kind of a mid-age there of, this is weird. I feel like I'm gifted in audio and video and lighting and production, and how does that have purpose? I thought maybe I needed to go be a missionary or something like that to save the world. But I believe that I was born this way for a reason, and I do want you guys to hear that too. I think, I'm not a good sports guy. I'm not good at sports, but Tim Tebow, or somebody who's just a great football player, he was born to do football, and that's what he needs to do. And I think if we all think that we're all supposed to go be doctors, or we're all supposed to go be pharmacists or whatever, then we're missing the mark. We're all unique. And so I named the company avad3, which is Hebrew for serve. I believe that whatever you do, you can be serving. And that's what production is. It's really serving. And if you're above that, if you're above any task, I definitely encourage you to maybe switch paths, because production is all about being behind the scenes. It's all about getting out of the way. We have a very distinct vision that we think that no event should be plagued by issues and technical difficulties. We believe that it's possible for events to be flawless, for them to be very smooth. We also feel the same way about stories. We've got two departments. We do event production, but we also do video production. And we believe in capturing stories. There's incredible stories, incredible nonprofit stories, success stories that deserve to be captured and then amplified and out to the masses, and really done well. And that drives us to do flawless event production and to capture stories through video production. And I get out of bed excited to do that because of our name, which is Hebrew for serve. It's not about us. We didn't come to be served. We're here to serve. Anyways, that's a little bit of a detour from the pandemic, but I'm really passionate about our people, and I believe our people make a difference. And so that's been the hardest part about it, is just having to reduce the team size, but we're growing again. I'm very thankful for that.
I love that avod means serve in Hebrew. That's really cool, and that you connected with us. And a major part of our mission is service, and going out into the community to connect and grow. And so, speaking of growth, tell us how old avad3 is again, and then as we just turned 25, and what do you see avad3 doing in the next few years when on your way to 25?
I love that. avad3 is 9.5. We're going to turn 10 in May, which I'm very excited about. It's a very busy week for us, so we'll have to hold off on the confetti a little bit on that week. We've got a lot of events to do that week, which I'm very grateful for. We're about to turn 10. The future is bright. We were on a really good trajectory right before the pandemic. The pandemic paused a lot of things. It also accelerated a lot of things. We've been doing streaming and offering streaming of events for about 4 years, but a lot of clients had kind of viewed that as not that important. Why would anybody stay at home when they could be here? And I agree. I love the magic and the energy of being in a room, but the pandemic has accelerated that. And so I'm looking forward to production budgets growing as clients realize they've got tickets and they've got people in the room, but they also have a whole nother audience they can serve online. I'm looking forward to sponsors getting a better ROI from events and video production as they say, hey, this used to just be shown for 500 people in a room or 1,000 people in a room. Now we can put this online. We can get it in front of more eyeballs. And so I'm looking forward to the future. Production has been around for a while and it's not going away. I think in the pandemic, our parents and a lot of the business world has kind of gotten used to Zoom a little bit. They've gotten used to just a webcam and kind of a low production value. And I think you and we both have the opportunity to now blow that out of the water and just break the glass ceiling of what production value can look like We've got a blank slate and a ground floor ahead of us, and it's time that we show them that. A lot of clients kind of appreciated us before. Oh, those guys make it sound good or whatever. They're here somewhere. And I think now they realize, wow, we're not on the air without these guys. And that we don't need a pat on the back, but we do love when clients get it. And I think you know the same way from working with clients on projects, with the stories that you're working on in your projects. When they get it, it just makes it more of a collaboration. It makes it where we're working together instead of they're over here and we're over here. So I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to the future being bright as production gets integrated as an integral part of budgets on these projects.
I just want y'all to know that we didn't pay Cameron to use our power words, our strong words like collaboration and service and tell your story and be unique and go after the mission. It's just natural. We came together as a family during this homecoming celebration. So we did not pay him for that. It's just natural. It came to him naturally. So Cameron, we are nearing the end of our time together. And before we head out, I want to give you the opportunity to tell our students and our viewers how they can connect with you guys, where they can find out more information about either working with you all or booking you all for some upcoming events.
That's great. Thanks, April. I encourage all you guys to follow us. On social, it's at avad3. Look at that. Karen, look at that timing. Way to go, Karen. It's at avad3. The 3 is spelled out on social. Our website is just avad3, and it's just the 3, avad3.com. Hop on the website. We've got some blog posts and stuff out there. We need to be writing more. We took a hiatus from that. We've got some good stuff out there. Also, we're on YouTube. Find our page on YouTube. We've got a lot of training stuff that we use internally, and I've been inspired this week to maybe make some of that stuff public. We have a lot of training stuff that we use to train the team, and as I think about all these East folks out there, I thought maybe you guys would enjoy watching some of that. So go find us on YouTube and like and subscribe and all those things. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Our Instagram's beautiful. I love what the team's done with our Instagram. You can also reach out. The website has a contact form. You're welcome to use that. It's info@avad3.com. That's fine. I want you folks following us, and we want to follow you. We're kindred spirits on the same path, and I think it's important that we get to stay in touch. So follow us in those ways. And I meant it earlier. I was back there and kind of in the dark when I said this, but I'll say this now. Seriously, you have an open invitation from me anytime. Come by the shop. We're in Lowell. It's right in the center of Northwest Arkansas. It's like the bullseye of Northwest Arkansas. We're dead center. Really, come by. I'd love to show you the shop. Karen would love to show you the shop and all her barcodes and everything. We'd be proud to show you the office and the studio and all of those things. And I hope that it would inspire you. My goal from doing this behind the scenes was more just to show you the wires. I want you to be inspired that this doesn't have to be a hobby. It doesn't just have to be something you do in school. It can be a career. When I was in school, we didn't have East, but I wasn't aware that this could be a career. I was getting a degree to be a teacher. I was going to be a high school history teacher and maybe do this on the weekends. I hope that by seeing this, you've been inspired to say, wow, I could do this as a career. This could really be my full-time job. And I hope coming by the shop or dropping by a show sometime, continue to see that vision for yourself. Continue to look ahead and say, I could be that person. I could be in those shoes. Think about the crew and think about who you'd want to be on the crew and drive that direction. I'm cheering for you all the way from Northwest Arkansas. We're going to continue to stay in touch and hope to see you guys in the future. So thanks for asking where to follow us, April. I appreciate that.
All right, Cameron, thank you so much for, again, dropping another one of our power words, inspiring. You can follow us on social media with the hashtag #InspireChange, and you can definitely join the avad3 team or the East team by inspiring change. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you back on the main stage soon.